Episode 3.
Woo! Welcome.
Welcome to episode 3 of Creative Spain. Here with Jamie Iria and
Anna Fernanzi Ria. From now on, just Anna.
Anna and Jamie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think that works better. So for those of you who have just stumbled upon this episode, I'm the creative director of Creative 7. So many creative things going on. And Anna, you are a high school teacher, correct?
Yes.
But you also help out here.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
The creative writer.
You're like the spelling check for us, the live spelling check, and then some. Who am I kidding? You're the only one that keeps us together when it comes to writing. That's the bottom line.
I try.
You try.
I try.
Yeah, no, you
I've
do a
done
good
my
job.
days too.
Yeah, everybody does. So we're trying to keep these episodes for now. I mean, we're gonna try this and we're gonna see the feel for it from our audience, but we're gonna try to keep them to about 30 minutes each episode. We were able to do that on the first episode, so that's good. Today I've got notes. I even brought some extra things here, and this
That's
obviously
really cool.
Yeah, this obviously will be more for the video aspect
you can talk
of
about
this
it.
podcast, which you guys can check out on YouTube. We'll have the links and all that kind of stuff going on the descriptions, and yeah, you can definitely see what's going on here on video on YouTube. So you can see that I have a beautiful mug that says hustle. And then I actually got for Christmas a notebook that says hustle.
Who gave you that?
I don't know.
That's so nice.
It's actually
nice. Look at the feel.
I know it's got a nice feel to it. It's one of those matte lamination that it's smooth, it's silky, it's nice.
It's clean and simple.
It's clean, simple, very very much my
like
style.
It.
This
Yeah,
is very
I like
much
that too.
me. And
whoever gave you that knows you very well.
Probably right, right. And why do I have all the hustle here? Because today I wanted to talk a little bit about the whole hustle age that we've been going through in the last couple of years. It's like a lifestyle. So this episode will be really about living and working in this crazy digital age of hustle and go and keeping up with everybody else and showcasing this and social media that, and take a selfie here and make me look good there, and I'm out of breath. But I think this is a topic that everybody kind of goes through, speaks to somebody about at some given point, because it kind of affects everybody. I mean, if you're alive today, this is going to affect you. That's the bottom line. The digital world. When we say that nowadays, I mean, it is our world. It's no longer just a digital world versus a realistic.
Everyone else. Yeah.
I honestly think, there are a lot of people out there that say that, oh, you live too much on the digital world, and you need to unplug, and you need to listen. I get it. I get it. Trust. I mean, we're not that young anymore. We still remember a pre-internet age, pre all of that age. So we get it. But at the same time, we also realize that today's world is made of screens.
And I like it, actually.
And internet.
Yeah.
And, it's information at our fingertips. This is the world we live in. And I think that by trying to totally unplug, you're just totally unplugging from reality as well. Because this is part of reality. A lot of people try to say that this isn't reality. It isn't, but it really is. One of my favorite things is, social media. It's only, people are so fake. And so, no, they're not just fake in social. People that are fake in social media
have a tendency of being fake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's the way that human beings work. We just didn't know it as much because guess what? We didn't have contact with so many people, and the ones that we did have contact we did think that they were a little bit fake here and there. So now that we have this window of, to the world through our phones, through our computers,
You just
and
see
we
it
can
more.
see everybody and what and everybody's saying something and doing something. Of course, now it's going to seem like it's a lot, and that a lot of people are fake, and that a lot of things are happening. And people now have this tendency of blaming social media for this and blaming social media for that. I don't believe in that. I believe that, you know what? It's just letting people actually showcase who they really are. That's the bottom line. But it's one of the things that I have noticed lately amongst our friends and family and people around us. When you're walking down the street, you see it too. Is people who don't know how to balance things.
Yeah, I get asked a lot, like, how do you do it? How do you work? And how do you find time for your family? And you seem to spend time with your family. And more I hear this question, which is
and you're a teacher, so
surprising sometimes.
you also see the other side of the equation when it comes to the younger crowd, right? You're a high school teacher, so obviously your kids, they're 100% in this new digital age.
Absolutely.
And they are always plugged in.
Oh, yeah. And there's no question about that.
Now, what I feel when this question comes up, where people seem to lose the notion of how much time they're on these devices and how much time they're spending in looking at other people's lives rather than living their own lives, or living their own lives thinking about what other people are going to say,
And
because
I
they're going to
think
be
that's where
posting
the
that picture, because
issue
they're going to
is.
be doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's where the problem really is you lose the track of reality in that sense, because you're constantly doing something with the second, like with another purpose to it, right? And I think that's where the problem exists. While you can tackle it in reverse, meaning why don't you try doing things and just keeping those memories and just sharing whatever you feel is right,
Yep.
but being true about it. I think the reason why we're seeing so much of the other side of just being glued to your screens and all of that, I think it's because technology is getting way too fast.
Yeah. But
And
I
people
think,
are still not used to it.
But I think that this argument that you and I hear a lot of, people are just wasting so much time, always looking at the phone, always looking at other people's lives. You did that 30 years ago with TV. People, that's why the sentence and the expression couch potato was invented.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to stop. And it's a tendency of the older generation to blame what's in style, I guess, for lack of better expression. But it's been like that.
Our parents used to say that we get out of the get out of the living room and all that. Right?
Or like for me, I used to hear a lot of the you're always reading. So and again,
That's a good thing.
It is, but it was too much in their opinion, right? So. But you look at, I look at our parents' generation, and they used to watch the talk show of this and the soap opera of that. And then there was one that ended and another one that started right away. That was their social media, if you want to call it that, right?
But if our grandparents looked at that,
they were criticizing them for spending too much time in front of the TV, right?
And I think that this is it's all a generational thing. And there is, I 100% agree with you. There's always that tendency of the older generation to blame and put down the younger generation because they don't know anything and we know everything. And we're kind of here to say that that's not the truth.
Yeah. We try not to be that way.
Exactly.
Let's just see it.
We try to understand
Yeah,
it. I think that's the thing. And when people ask us, how are you able to live a life still when you're always online? I'm not always online.
Mm-hmm.
It might look like we're always online, but that's not reality, right? And the way that you approach it is really the key feature here.
It's the creative spin.
Yeah, it's that spin again. But it's true though. Like a perfect example. Yesterday we went down the street skating with the kids. Yeah, I grabbed my GoPro and I did a little. Got it for Christmas. So it was a nice little gift.
Generous Santa.
Very generous people that give me stuff for Christmas. So you know what? I grabbed that, and we were able to stay with the family, go with the kids skating, and I was able to try out the GoPro and do my little tests while with the family. But I think it's the attitude, though. I still have the family first.
I was going to say that.
Gadgets second, and I think that's where a lot of it is still confused, and I believe that it's still confused because it's still early.
Yeah.
I think it's still very early.
I get that a lot. Where people like my colleagues always tell me, how do you teach like we do, and how do you prep, and you help your husband, and you have your own projects, and like how do you do this, and still you find time to go with your kids to the many activities that they have and all of that, and what I often say is, well, if I'm sitting down through a martial arts class, which usually is about 45 minutes long, I also have my book if I'm reading a book, or I'll bring a set of tests that I need to mark.
Yeah.
In other words, yes, I'm looking at my kids doing their whatever it is that they're doing.
You might not be looking at it 100%, but guess what? They're also not looking at you.
And a lot of times they're just going through really drills where they're sitting down listening to that instructor, right? So, or for example, if they go to music lesson, I'm not sitting with them inside the same room. I'm outside waiting for them.
You're touching on the right thing, which is, you're taking advantage of that time.
Yeah.
And applying it to the things that you need to get done as work or as a hobby that you have, and then you can get things done that way. But the moment the class is over, you're with your son.
Oh, totally. The book gets put aside, or the phone, whatever it is that I'm doing, it's there.
But I'm finding, and we were talking about this the other day in the car, when I was looking at this individual that was all happy that he went into a new app, and he had, I don't know how many followers, and he was all happy about how much he grew in so little time, and the time of this, the time of that. And I'm thinking to myself, here's a guy that in 5-10 years from now, he's going to regret all of this.
Yeah.
Because, all this hustle, all this keep going, and you got to get the numbers, and you got to do all of this, forgetting everything else, that's where there's an issue, right?
It's good to a certain extent, but you gotta.
And I'm saying this like I'm not beside this person 24 hours a day. I don't know, if they're managing their time correctly, but these examples that I see, these are people that admit that they spend 15 hours doing their videos and being online and doing all these things, which is great if they want to.
If they're okay with that.
They're okay with that. And these are choices. What I don't like is the complaints afterwards, right? If you want to have the best of both worlds, that's not going to happen, right? And this brings me back to business. A lot of times, people, they want to be extremely successful in business, and the quickest way to achieve that, well, first of all, you got to be good at what you're doing, but secondly, you need to apply crazy amounts of energy and time to your business. It doesn't just happen. You might be lucky. There might be one example here and there of people that come up with the perfect solution, software or app or whatever, and that, in 6 months they'll turn it around and be very successful and all that. Great, but that doesn't happen a lot. I'm talking about usually the normal rate of things. You need to apply 15, 16-hour days. You wake up in the morning and that's what you're thinking, and you go to bed and that's what you're thinking, and
it's not your 9 to 5.
No, trust me, it's not. It's not your 9 to 5. But then these are all choices that people make. Exactly. The problem that I see a lot is that people want to have that extremely quick success and be, achieve that success. And they also want to have that perfect family and the perfect friend life and all of that. Well, that's where find the balance. Yeah, that's where things get confusing because it's just mathematically impossible because there's only 24 hours a day. You need to sleep for a few of them. So you know what? You're left with 15 hours a day that you need to do your thing. You're not going to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, you go to a karate class, it's going to be 45 minutes to an hour. If you account for the travel time, there you go. It's an hour and a half. That's
It
gone.
really is.
That's one thing that you're going to do with your family. So if you don't, you know what I mean? It's just, that's my concern when I look around and I see people, I think they want to have everything. I think they want to have the best life in terms of a successful business. And then they want to have the best life on a personal level with her. And that's where I think the expectations are set so high on every single one of these pillars that it's just impossible for you to achieve them.
I often wonder if we set those goals because of who we really are, if that's what we aim to achieve, or if we are indirectly influenced by what we see, what others say, what others tell. And a lot of times it's the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
100%.
Like a lot of times you see someone's success and you say, well, look how successful that person is. But you don't look at the path that person had to walk to
there was
be
a
there,
long path to get there, right?
And this is what I mean. Like these are choices that we make. I make the choice of being with my kids whenever they have activities after school.
Yeah.
And I would never put anything above that or even beside that. However, if I can, there you go. If I can, instead of looking at nothing, if I can do some work while they're at piano or while they're at karate, whatever,
but again,
then that's
that
where
was
it
your
comes
choice,
in, right?
and you're happy with that, and that's what I'm trying to say. But the problem is, and going back to what you were asking, are people influenced? I think so, 100%. I think everybody nowadays, if you're a human being that's somewhat connected online via your phone, I mean, even if you're not that kind of person that can get influenced by what other people say or do, there's always that little bit. There's always that little bit. And there's always that, we're competitive by nature. As human beings, we're competitive by nature. What I find is that it's kind of sad to see people setting their bar so high and then crashing. And I'm saying this because time and time again online, I'm reading about news about, especially the younger crowd, that the whole committing suicide and depression
and all of that,
and all of these very, very bad things that are happening to them. I think it really has to do with all these expectations and all of these things that they're looking at online, and they see those things that they see online, people's lives that aren't that's a glimpse, that's a split second, that's the picture of a life,
and
right?
I think
It's not,
and I think you should, because this is what we do each morning getting up. My question, I'm grateful that God has given me life and health to work and to move on with my life, and so my main goal is, what makes me happy? What is it that I want? And for me, what makes me happy is not, organizing a huge birthday party for my kids, but rather spend the whole birthday with them. And if they want to have a party with their friends, then let's see what we can realistically do.
and that's fine.
And so as long as I'm happy. And I feel like a lot of times the question I get is really that we forget what makes us happy as human beings. And I don't know if this is if it's something that is going to stay, if it's a process that, I don't know.
This is getting deep.
It is.
This is
really
getting very dark. I don't know.
No, it's getting creative.
Getting creative now. But then there's the other side. Now, grabbing onto the creative side is, how do you do all of this by being creative? And the creative in this aspect is, how can you turn all of these things into good, into positive, into something that isn't so doom and gloom and
step away from that.
Yeah. And I think it really comes down to the fact of, how can I do this from a reverse perspective? Meaning, let me try to do this more with my family, with my friends and all that, and try to fit things in, right? And try not to look so much at stuff. One of the things that I've started doing is, on the weekends, I try to, step away a little bit, even though our livelihood and what we do here at Creative 7 and all of that has to do with social media and all of that. I think listen, there's a time for everything, and we can definitely step away from it and not. Like I said, the GoPro was a good example. I just took it down with me.
You had fun with it, though.
And I had fun with the kids and all of that. And that's the bottom line, is always trying to find that fine little, creative way of making things fun and still being, not going insane with
being
trying.
happy with yourself.
Absolutely, 100%. And the other thing is, living in this digital age, we have still a couple of minutes to go. I don't know if you want to touch on your students and you as a teacher, and how implementing the how we can implement the technology aspect of the world today with education.
That's like a podcast on its own.
Okay, you know what? We will leave that as a podcast, and that will be the one of the future podcasts. We definitely need to talk about it. I think there's a lot that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I look at education today, and we've had this conversation many times, I think that it's outdated. I think that it's not up to par with what with the world we're living in. I think our kids aren't being educated to the world we're living.
At least here where we live.
Well,
Yeah.
we're here in Canada, and we're apparently not that behind, but I feel like we are, and I feel like all over the world we are, because there's this fear of implementing technology and the new things that are showing up. I get it that it's not easy sometimes because technology is expensive and all of that, but
it's not impossible. It can be done, and it should be done.
Okay.
And a lot of what we do is so irrelevant that it is time, I think, to revisit our lesson plans.
So we'll leave that lesson for the next podcast. Guys, everybody that's clicked on this episode and is still listening, I appreciate that. I hope you guys continue to listen to us. We're going to keep on yapping on creative things and giving it the creative spin. If you guys want to follow us on YouTube as well, just search us up. You'll find the channel.
Share stories with us.
And yeah, just share stories. And if you have any topics that you want us to touch on, when it comes to like creative, the creative side, marketing, social media, design, branding, all that kind of fun stuff that we do around here, let us know. I mean, there's a ton of things that we do. These are the podcasts. This is where we just sit down and have a conversation. Obviously, we're leaving the tutorials or the reviews of tech and all of that kind of fun stuff to our Creative 7 Inc. channel, which is the company channel. So that's where we're gonna keep all of our more of a techie or more of a artsy kind of videos on that side. On this side, we're just going to have this. We're going to have conversations about different topics, stuff that happens during the week. We're going to try to kind of sit down and
also bring some of that stuff into it. But
we will have some. I know we have a little bit of time, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. We already have a couple of podcasts that we recorded with some of my clients. And that's the other thing, as I explained in episode 1, is, I'm bringing in, I'm interviewing some of my clients so that we can sit down and have a conversation about what happened, on their end. Like, how did they start the business? How did they get into the business? And
how creative they had to be.
And how they used creativity in their business, and what they're doing today to continue to stay relevant in their field and in what they do. So we already have 2 podcasts done. Awesome. We're going to continue doing. We're scheduling now for the month of January, which is going to be interesting. And thank you guys. Thank you for listening. And
see you next time.
Catch you on the next one.